Good evening. If you're listening to the Young Independence Chairmanship debate on Ukipian.com, my name's Phil Howell. I'm the co-founder of the site. And with me tonight, I've got Rob Comley and Sean Howlett, who are the two candidates for the Young Independence Chairmanship. Good evening, lads.
Hello there.
Good evening, Phil. Good to be on.
How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad, you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. As you will know, if you're listening, this week voting started for the new leader of Young Independence following the dismissal of Ollie Neville. And it's been an interesting week, to say the least. So we thought we'd get to the bottom of the debate by hosting this online talk tonight. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to give Rob and Sean the opportunity to give an opening statement, and then we've got a selection of questions which have come from a variety of sources, mostly from Young Independence members, and we're just going to work our way through there, and hopefully by the end of the debate you will have, if you haven't already voted, have a pretty good idea of who you might want to take Young Independence forward into the future. As a reminder, you should be using the hashtag YIElects to get your comments and your questions to us. Depending on how long it takes us to get through the questions, we'll hopefully be able to answer some of the questions you've been giving us during the debate, but no promises. Okay. As we've had some silly beggars going on with the Ukipian website in terms of submitting questions, I won't actually be given the names of questioners, but just the questions. Okay, is that all right with you chaps?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay, excellent. So, right, you've got about 60 seconds each to give your opening statements. So, I'll hand over to you, Rob.
Hello there. As you all know, I've been looking after YI for the last 2 months, and I believe I've done a pretty okay job. My view is I want to build a YI for everyone, regardless of political view, experience, gender, wealth or age. YI should be for everyone. If you've read my manifesto, you'll see I've built this on 3 main ideas: a stabilisation, modernisation and professionalisation. I believe we have to stabilise the strong regional structure that we've already started putting into place, and then we can move on from there once the foundations are built and start to modernise the membership group through such ideas as a YI app, a YI blog, a YI conference and modern campaign techniques. YI should lead the way at election time and bring everyone together to campaign. So far these elections have been a bit of a child's playground, but I believe we have stayed strong, we've had a good campaign. I genuinely love YI, and I'm sure that will come across to all of you, and that's why I hope you vote me. Thank you, Phil.
Excellent, thank you, Rob. And Sean, you can
Hey,
start
thanks, Phil.
now. Go for it.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Sean. I've been a party member since just before the 2010 general election. I've worked very hard for the party ever since. I've held various positions within the party, such as secretary of my local branch. I've sat as the membership secretary on the YI National Council and the recruitment and fundraising officer, as recently. I've stood for the NEC previously in an attempt to bring some, more YI representation and a bit more of a younger perspective to the management of the party. I've also got vast experience in UKIP, and I want to use it to, in my ambition to lead Young Independence. I have many proposals and changes I wish to bring to YI, mainly professionalisation. I want to make it more of a grassroots organisation and not focus on specific national or regional structures. Let things, just help nurture the grassroots, and it will work. It's going to be much bigger, it's going to get better, and it's going to get stronger for everyone. You can see my manifesto on seanhowlett.co.uk if you've not already seen it. I'm sure we'll be talking about plenty of the points tonight with Phil. That's about it for me for the moment. So thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Sean. So I think we'll just get started right away with the first question, which is, in what way does the chairmanship need to evolve in order to ensure the continuing growth and success of Young Independence? Rob?
Well, it's all about building these regions up, I believe. Once we have these really strong regions in place, everything should just fit together. We need to be more professional as a youth group. We need to be there during campaigns. This is very important. We need to get everyone involved, as many people as possible. If we build, people will come, as the old saying goes. I think, yeah.
Is there any particular kind of way that you both feel that the regions need to be developed?
Sorry, what was?
Is there any particular kind of strategy for developing the regions that you have there, Rob?
Well, I think we need to slowly hand more power over from the main council over to these regions. In the last couple of months, we've given them the power to try and build their own databases, to hold events. At the current period, they don't have the power to have their own funding, but eventually, hopefully, they will have this, and then they can arrange their own campaigns, arrange their own events. I plan to put in place 3 vice chairmen in each region, so that they're more separate, that they're more, what am I looking for? So they can spread across the region. And
the greater
get more people
autonomy, I
together.
think, is what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard of YI regional branches not being allowed to have their own funds, because as far as I've been aware in the time I've been on the YI council, which is now 2 years, they've, they're constituted as a UKIP branch. So I'm not sure where that comes from.
When we had the meeting, which you did attend with Steve and Will, we did discuss the regional branches, and we thought it was a bad idea at this current time to give them funding, as it took money away.
But beforehand, plenty of branches have raised money for themselves. We can look at Chester and Great Yarmouth as prime examples of that.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll move on from that. And Sean, the same question to you, really. In what way do you think the chairmanship needs to evolve now from what it's been before?
Well, I think the chairmanship definitely needs much stronger links with, say, the NEC and key leadership figures, which is something I can offer. With regards to also the regional structure, I'm not opposed to these regions, as they are. I just think we should focus mainly on counties, constituencies, and areas that are convenient, for YI members. To me, I mean, if you take where I'm from in the Eastern region, having Eastern regional YI is the most pointless thing ever. Take one county, for instance, Norfolk. It takes 3 hours to drive end to end. It's ridiculous. Take where Rob's from, London, for instance. Regional YI in the London European constituency will work because you can get from one end of the entire region to the other in an hour and a half. So I just think, if you look at Chester, Young Independence, that's got about 15 members. And that has started off literally with a couple of members getting together, and they've expanded from there. And it's the same principle with Great Yarmouth. It's the same principle with Scotland. It started out of Edinburgh and has expanded, regionally since. And now Scotland has a strong regional, branch structure. I think Scotland also is a good example to follow.
Mm-hmm. So, with is it 700 members in YI roughly? Is that right?
Yes.
And we're talking about making these regions as big as possible then, in order to encompass, are you both agreed on that, to encompass as many people as possible? Is that right?
What do you mean by making?
Or are you wanting to make it's kind of come down to a constituency level? Is that?
That should be the end game. I mean, once we're fully functioning, and thousands and thousands of members, I think that should be the end game. And where possible, like I'll use Chester again. The city of Chester, they have a fully functioning YI branch, which is bigger than some of the main parties' constituency branches. So I just think, where there's a grassroots movement for it, well, let's nurture it. But we're not going to try and force. We don't want this top-down heavy-handedness from the National Council. This is why I'm opposed to top-down regionalisation as well, because it's the same principle with the National Council. If you have heavy-handedness on a top-down level, it doesn't work. It doesn't motivate people.
I think we've spoken enough about regions for now. Let's move on to the next question. There was a great deal of fallout from Ollie's dismissal and his subsequent departure from the party. What is your view on the ordeal, and what will you do to reunify Young Independence, Sean?
First of all, I was opposed to Ollie's appointment from the outset, as I saw what a danger he was from months ago, having worked with him because he was a social media officer for the party, dealing with our Twitter and Facebook. I agreed with the NEC's decision. However, I completely disagreed with the way the party chairman executed the decision, because obviously there was a lot more to what was the reasoning for his dismissal that was disclosed in the leaked emails that Ollie put online. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay, sure. Rob, sorry?
I think the thing with Ollie is he's a great guy. His heart's in his right place. He was great for YI internally. The thing that was bad was obviously he was a party official, and he suggested his views, and these were probably a bit risky to do, just to say the least, wasn't it? Really, it wasn't good for YI. It could have been bad for UKIP. But as I said, it's bad to say that he was bad internally for YI. He did a great job. The NEC, the way they handled it, obviously was a bit of a shock. We was in the middle of a YI council meeting when it happened. Actually, we had no idea what was going on. We were trying to sort things out. That's about it.
Okay, that's fine. And in terms of reunifying the party,
yeah.
Are there any particular things that you think are necessary to do that now, to bring everybody together? Because obviously it's caused a little bit of division. We've seen some members of Young Independence move on, particularly some of the more extreme libertarian groupings. So is there anything in particular you feel is necessary? Or
obviously, that's what I've been trying to do over the last couple of months, was get everyone together, suggest that we're all in this together. We're all YI, we're all UKIP. We should be branded as UKIP, not the different ideologies. I think we just need to get everyone together, different events, meet up, obviously have open debates about things. That's all fine and good. But when you start spreading it across a social medium where lots of people can see it, it can start affecting things. But basically just getting everyone together, trying to get along.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? When you look at Young Independence, there is a degree of separation from the main party in terms of political philosophy. I mean, you get a lot of a more libertarian approach. You see this amongst members. And do you think that's a good thing or an overwhelmingly bad thing, that you have that difference in opinion on mainstream kind of topics like perhaps gay marriage, as was so controversial before? Do you think that's a good thing, either of you?
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, it's stated that, even candidates can state their personal view on gay marriage as long as they differentiate between what is personal and what is party policy. Sadly, if you're talking about Ollie Neville there, he didn't do that in his interview, and there's been plenty of party members who have differentiated their opinion, such as when Nigel gave that interview to I think it was the Independent or the Telegraph a couple of years back about the drugs and the prostitution. It said it's purely my personal opinion, and he admitted it would not be politically apt to pursue it as policy, as has Paul Nuttall said with the death penalty. My personal opinion would be I'd campaign to support it, but party policy is as it is.
Okay, Rob, what are your personal views on gay marriage?
On gay marriage, obviously as a chairman, it'll be your responsibility to push party line. But my personal opinion is that I'm all for equal rights for homosexuals, but maybe we should not. We should differentiate from religious ceremonies to government. We should differentiate from government and religion. They shouldn't be mixed. I'm all for having a state marriage and a religious marriage, but I do not believe that should have religious marriage, but they should be allowed equal rights.
Okay, and what about you, Sean? What are your views on this topic?
My personal opinion is just completely repeal the 1753 Marriage Act. You know, my view is I just don't believe the state should really have a role in it. But you know, I'd always advocate party policy when it came to it in the media.
That's good. So you both understand in that respect that although you hold your own opinions, you have a job, and that job is to represent party policy. So I mean that kind of takes us on to another question that we've got here. Which is, have either of you ever achieved negative press attention for UKIP? And what will you do to ensure that Young Independence achieves only positive press attention from now on? Obviously, it's very difficult to only ever achieve positive press attention, because if something negative goes on, it will be covered. But in terms of trying to fix the image that Young Independence has to outsiders, Rob, what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I don't believe I've ever had any negative press. I've been in the party since the beginning of last year. I became more active halfway through the year, so since I've been a member, I've had quite a good record. There's never ever going to be a way we can stop people getting bad press if they do silly things. And if you do silly things, then maybe you should be punished. It is now in the YI rules that we set about in the last couple of months. There's a discipline section now, but that's for council members. But it is going to be the council members who get more attention than maybe a lesser known member who writes a silly thing on Twitter or whatever. So the things are in place now to try and stop this from happening. We've also, on the new YI website that's coming out, we've put a new policy page is going to be on there. So if you think a policy of UKIP is bad, or you're not bad but disagree with it, and you'd like to spread your own views, you can write on this policy bit, and then this will come to the YI Council secretly.
Very good.
So then instead of writing about it on Twitter saying this is wrong, the party's wrong, we should have it our way, it will come to us, we'll read it, and if we agree with it or disagree with it, we'll pass it on to the NEC, and then they will deal with it from there.
So obviously there has been, I mean, you will get this with any youth wing of any party, when you've got a level of immaturity dealing with younger people, and, you know, at the end of the day, young people make mistakes, they don't tend to mean it, but these things happen. So it's good to see and good to hear that you're addressing the fact that this happens and putting a mechanism in place. Sean, over to you, really. I'm guessing the question asker may have had you in mind. In particular,
well, if you're talking about proper press or silly little childish blogs that are,
I think
invented. If we're talking about proper press, no. I've had nothing but positive press. I've appeared on the BBC during the leadership elections. I've appeared on Talk Radio Europe, talking about Gibraltar and UKIP's stance on sovereignty issues. And I've appeared on various local media and Gibraltarian media as well. So I've had nothing but positive press when it comes to what you call real journalists and the real press. But yeah, if you want to talk about silly little blogs, you know, it is as it is.
Okay, Rob, anything to add?
Not personally, no. I've only ever tried to push myself as the good guy. I don't go out looking for trouble. I've never started any fights in bars or anything like that. I think I have quite a positive attitude, and I will be keen to show everyone else that if it came to the opportunity.
Okay.
Who started a fight in a bar?
I'm not naming any names, but we'll see.
We'll move on. Next question. Have either of you ever been a member of another party? Sean?
Yeah, I was at the age of 16. I briefly joined the Conservatives, and I left in February and immediately joined UKIP after meeting my local prospective parliamentary candidate, and have been a UKIP ever since. I was never really active in the Tories. I think it was literally, ironically, the day I went out leafleting for the Conservative, was the day I left them. So that says it all, really.
Okay, good. What about you, Rob? Have you ever been a member of another party?
No, I joined UKIP at the beginning of last year. I thought about joining UKIP before that, but I was planning on a career in animal welfare, actually. I never really thought about party politics. None of them really represented me as a person until I looked through the UKIP manifesto, agreed with mostly everything I saw, and it went from there.
Good. Okay. So, I mean, sorry, Sean, did you want to try to add something then?
No. There's just to bring up what Sean said. I've seen a little video of Sean on YouTube at a libertarian. Is it a conference of some sort? And he admits that. Do you not admit that you was a member of Conservative Future for 6 months and that you went out quite actively campaigning for them?
No, I said exactly what I just said to this Ukipian. So please don't twist words. And it's on YouTube, so I can slap you down over that. So
perhaps that's something that can be looked at later
on. If the Ukipian does it, it's within the first 2 minutes of the YouTube video, so I'm sure you could run an article on it by tonight and confirm I said exactly the same words I just said to you now.
I'm sure everybody who's listening to this is doing that at this exact moment in time.
It's just for the record, it's the Libertarian Alliance YouTube account.
So, would either of you ever support a UKIP Tory electoral pact? Sean?
No, not a chance. We are two different parties. We need to move away from this kind of BBC mentality that the UK Independence Party is just an offshoot or sister organisation of the Tories. We're not. We are an independent political party on our own right. We've got our own policies which differ to the Tories on so many issues. We will go our own way and we will win this.
Okay, so that's as an ex-member of the Conservative Party as well. So Rob, what's your thoughts?
No, definitely not. This is one thing I agree with Sean on, actually. We should never, ever have a pact with the Tories. We saw in Eastleigh, didn't we, that we're now getting the votes from everywhere. We're not a one policy party, which we have been said to be in the press over the last few years. We're now getting the votes from the Conservatives, and we are our own party, and we should always be our own party.
Excellent.
Yeah, the Tories divided our vote in Eastleigh, not the other way around.
I think this is a fairly common view within the party as a whole now, specifically in the light of David Cameron's refusal to take back his nasty slur that we're a bunch of fruitcakes and loons and closet racists. So I think, in fairness, he's got it coming to him. So I'm glad you both agreed on that one. At least. So, yeah, let's move on to the next question. UKIP's membership is expanding at a steady rate. Assuming this produces growth for Young Independents, how will you ensure that this translates into active members and boots on the ground when it comes to election time, Rob?
Well, it's quite simple, really. Once we know where these members live, we get them in contact with their regional chairman. They can tell them exactly where they can campaign, what events they can go to. We have YI Action Days, which these campaigners can then go to. They can campaign on their own streets. That's probably more importantly, as equal importance, as going to big elections. As Farage once said, there isn't a street where UKIP couldn't gain votes, and that is very true, isn't it? Really, we can. If someone goes out leafleting and picks up a few votes, a few members, it's just as important as when the big election comes up.
Yep, good, sure.
Sorry, could you repeat the question, Phil?
I'll try and summarise. How basically are we going to get more members of Young Independents out on the ground when it comes to election time?
Well, first of all, you need to enfranchise them a bit more because, it's just, YI seems to be this, at the moment, this distance thing that's attached to the party. And I think, where permits, if there's YI members in the constituency association, which, I think it's safe to assume that there's, a couple in each constituency association, and, add to branch structures for everyone to have a council rep, a YI rep onto the branch committee. I know some branches have started doing this on their own back anyway, which, I applaud. So I think, when you've got YI representation and you've got a mandate on the constituency level for a YI member to go out and actively do things, I think that enfranchises them. And also, as I said earlier, when you've got this grassroots movement going on as well, that kind of brings people together on that level. Also, more social events and things like that, that brings people together. So that sort of thing works as well. And I'm also, now this is a bit of the main crux of part of my campaign, I intend to raise, a fair amount of money over the next 6 months if elected. And with that, I want to basically subsidise them to get to by-elections. Because obviously we've got a few by-elections that are in the woodwork. We've got Nadine Dorries, who's under investigation for expenses at the moment in Mid-Bedfordshire, which that's a potential by-election. And we've also got the rumours about Mike Hancock standing down due to ill health. Now, the Mike Hancock one seems quite likely in Portsmouth South. So I think we're going to need to get YI members down there, boots on the ground, canvassing. So I think, if you can say, well, we'll cover 50% of your travel and accommodation, if you can come down for X amount of days, I think we'll see a much higher turnout of, boots on the ground, and, we'll see it turn into results, really.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting point. When you take into account the amount of members of Young Independents who are students, and the costs of travelling. It's an interesting one. Rob, has your campaign and what about your manifesto, has that got anything to do to address that issue?
Getting people to events, campaign days even, is always going to be a challenge when, as a youth group, we've only got a limited amount of money. It's always going to be very hard to get people from one side of the country to the other. As we saw in Eastleigh, there was people in the north who may have wanted to come down to Eastleigh to help out, but couldn't because it is expensive. But it's something that's going to have to happen in the future. At this moment in time, we simply haven't got the funds to give people the money to get down to these places.
I mean, one of the things I've seen...
Can I just interject?
Go on, Sean. Lack
of funds shouldn't be an option. Just for the record, I've got a professional fundraiser who's willing to work with me for free if I'm elected as chairman. And we've got a target of raising £20,000.
Sure,
so that's going to be a target.
As a target, that's all well and good, but if that money doesn't...
No, we're going to do it. We've already shortlisted who we're going to go to, and it's a realistic target.
Okay. I mean, the way the party's been handling things prior to now, I mean, you see a lot of cases of minibuses being paid for and people graciously giving up their own homes to allow members of Young Independents to come and stay in constituencies. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty good way of dealing with things without having to spend too much money, don't you think?
Well, you utilise that as well. I mean, that's why YI needs to get really good contacts going with local branches, anything down from local branches to regional chairmen to, members of the NEC, because people know people who will be willing to offer things like this, who will be willing to subsidise someone to come down, who will be willing to put up people like this. So this is why we need to connect with people.
Okay. We'll move on to the next question. This next question is, right, YI has around 700 members. Do you think we should pursue a constituency approach with one or two YI members isolated in constituencies, or regional approach as UKIP originally did to lay the foundation for YI's future? And I know we touched on this earlier, but I think it'd be a good to clarify, really, what exactly we mean by this constituency approach.
Well, if there's not, appetite, or, it's not feasible in a constituency, what we can do is, on a sort of perceived realistic area level, or if it works on a county basis, we'll do it on that. When I say constituency, all I meant is kind of like a branch. What a branch is made of what is feasible to, say, a number of membership people like that. What's geographically, feasible. It's, we're not going to do it if there's like 2 or 3 members in one constituency and, pour a lot of resources and help into that. I mean, if there's 3 people that get together and, want to expand from there, they'll start dragging in people. And if they can drag in a few people over the course of a set amount of time, well then, fair enough. But it doesn't have to be set to regions or constituencies. I mean, let's face it, bearing in mind regions are a fictitious invention of the European Union anyway. So that's quite, I don't understand this regional mentality anyway. But, I mean, whatever kind of works, if it works, do it. It's a very grassroots mentality, and that's why I'm pursuing it, because it's very laissez-faire, and laissez-faire always works.
Okay, Rob?
Well, I think constituencies are a crazy idea, to be honest. We have 750 members, maybe a few more than that, and there's 650 constituencies to fit them in. Sorry?
Great Yarmouth does a better job than some regions. So does Chester.
These are specific areas. By all means, let them set up, but we need a regional structure in place. That's what I've been trying to build on over the last couple of months.
So you're talking about...
Let's just let Rob finish.
Harry Aldridge started to put this into place. It was his idea. It came from him. We've been building on that. He built on that for the time he was chairman. I've now built on that. With constituencies, it seems like you're trying to buy the furniture without building the house first.
I think it would be...
Use that analogy, you're building the roof before laying the foundations. I mean, we've tried regions since I have joined the party, and I have to say, nothing has changed. Yorkshire got started when I first came onto the Wire Council. We already had Scotland when I came onto the Wire Council. And, other than that, we've got these regional representatives or chairmen who are, I've had Rhys Warren come to me and he's like, what's going on, mate? He's the regional chairman of South West. And he goes, it's just pointless. He said, there's only YI members in my area. And I just said, well, kick off in your area. He said, the region just doesn't work until we've got an expansive membership and we've got active areas, because what attracts people in is small social groups who draw on members. That's how Yorkshire started off. It started off at the University of York. That's one thing I have to say Ollie Neville did well. He helped start the Uni of York with Arnie Craven and Sam Launder and a few others, and they expanded from there. So I'll give credit where it's due, and that's the kind of mentality we need to pursue around the country.
One of the main issues is we don't know where these members are, and that is the good thing about regions. Once we have a full database, we know where these members are, we can then pass them on to the regional chairman, and they will know exactly where they are, and they will know who they're dealing with. If we have we can't just have small branches dotted about all over the place.
Rob,
it's just crazy.
You've even admitted yourself, yourself that in this meeting with Will Gilpin and Steve Crowther, everyone has come to the conclusion why I can do nothing about the database until head office puts the date of birth on the membership form, and within 12 months, within 12 months from when they've started adding this compulsory age or under 30s box, you'll have a full database in a year's time. So there's nothing you can do in this next tenure to forcibly have a correct database on regional level.
There's nothing anyone can do. It's going to take time. It's not just going to build itself overnight. Neither of us are going to become chair at the weekend and we're going to have a full database next week. It's just bizarre. It's going to take time. We're going to need to build it. We need to know where the members are, put them into a regional database, give them to the regional chairman, let them sort out where they want events, get them contacted. It's a good thing for if we get new members as well. If we get a new member saying Manchester, the YI council as a whole won't know what to do, we send them to the regional chairman and they can say you can do this, this and this in your region.
Well, yeah, there's no harm in having a go-to person, but to focus solely on the regions is nonsensical. I'm not. You're talking to me as though I've just turned around and said, well, I'm going to ban regional structures. I've not said that at all. As I've said, it's all about feasibility. As I've said, London, for instance, that would be a region that would work, as a regional level, as opposed to constituency. Constituencies would be a bit awkward because they will,
I think this brings us on to another point. I mean, we're talking about regions.
Can I just apologise to Tom Booker? I've just realised he started Yorkshire at the Sheffield University.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure that apology's been accepted. I'm outside of the southeast, and I think there's a tendency to kind of put a lot of focus on that, and I've received a lot of questions from a lot of different sources asking what either of you would do to improve young independence across the country as a whole. I've had questions relating specifically to Wales and Scotland and the North. So I think that follows on quite well. And I mean, Sean, you were noted as saying at some point, I can't remember how long ago this was, that people outside of the South East don't work as hard as people in London and the surrounding area?
No, I never said that. In context, that was about people coming into London to meet for social things. It was an argument about the HMS Belfast party, if you saw the entire comment thread between Arnie Craven and I. And my attack was levelled personally at his branch. So I'm not really going to go into that because that's as it is. If those comments were truly legitimate, because the people such as Matt McKinnon, Robin Hunter Clark, Olaf Marshall, who have seen the entire context of the argument, realise it was not levelled at anywhere outside of the home counties. So, I've got the endorsement from regional chairmen up and down the country. So that's, that says more than these pathetic little blogs that cut and paste comments as they see fit to make it look bad.
Rob?
Well, obviously I saw the blog and I saw you tell them they had to tell how they had to pull their finger out, and that's what I've gone on. I've heard different people from Yorkshire saying that's what happened, but I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to argue about that. But
the deputy chairman of Yorkshire's backing me, Samuel Fletcher. So clearly,
okay. The chairman of Yorkshire is backing me, but we're not going to start name dropping, are we? But my regional, I plan to hold an open forum in every region. So we'll go to the region, a member of the council, hopefully me, will get a MEP, NEC member of UKIP down, and it's a chance for them to tell us what they want from II and what they want from UKIP. It's a good opportunity to get all the members of that region together, and also they can bring friends, they can bring relatives, just to see what UKIP about. We done this in February. We had the joint YI and LGBT meet up in London, and we had a same-sex marriage open forum. David Coburn came down, he done a little talk, and then we had a chance for everyone to ask him questions. It started off on same-sex marriage, and we went on to UKIP policy. We spoke about absolutely everything. We had a debate for about an hour and a half. It was a good time. We had 3 new members join up there, and this was the kind of events we need to hold to motivate regions to get new members and to put everyone together.
Good. That sounds like a good plan. It seems to me that you both understand the issues that do surround YI in terms of trying to get it stronger across the country as a whole. Sean, is there anything in particular that you've got in your manifesto to address this?
What about enfranchising Wales?
Yeah, across the country.
I mean, as I said, when I go on this, when the funds become available, I want to go on sort of like a tour. Say members who have done well or something, and we'll go around because I'm planning to also write to all the universities in this country, and as well as the colleges. I'm going to set up a subcommittee to do so. And
we'll move on to universities, but just focus.
But I mean, because obviously there's 3 unis alone in Cardiff.
Yeah.
So if we can get people to go into there and speak, which there shouldn't be a problem, you get the kind of UKIP YI message across, and you get to talking to people, and you got across there. There's Sam Bergamensky, who is in Wales. He's looking to set up something in Wales. I could link him in with Matt McKinnon. I mean, he's at university in Chester at the moment, but he's based in Wales. As chairman, you've got these links, and you can put people together, and you can come up with branch structures.
Okay. Well, I think we'll move on to, because I think that takes us quite nicely.
Can I just add one little point?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt. The Wales and Northern Ireland, it plays a big part of my manifesto. It's in there to ensure we have fully established branches in these areas. I've pledged to go out to Wales and to Northern Ireland to meet the UKIP chairman out there to try and set up a proper established YI branch.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Well, one of YI's most important areas for growth is on university campuses, where UKIP societies need to stand out and seem fun and interesting. What experience do you have with university societies and setting up such groups on campus, Rob?
Well, I actually set up my own society at the University of Greenwich, where I'm studying politics at the moment. I think in the end we had about 10 members, which was the pain because you need 12 to set up a fully established society, and that's where people maybe fall back and where they give up. But part of my manifesto is to support these people that want to set up societies. I was in the process of writing a guidebook over the last couple of months, which got put back a bit because of trying to chair YI, doing other things, structure, that kind of thing. So obviously I'd work on the guide, but that can be sent out to people who want to set up their own societies. I also want to continually support people once they've set up societies, not just when they've set up, but to help them set up. They need funds, they need suppliers, and we should also reward these people for societies when the time comes to it.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I didn't go to university, so I have to confess I don't have experience in this particular field. However, what I'm doing to counter this one weakness I have is to set up a university subgroup. Obviously of carefully hand-chosen people who have good experience in this. So I definitely approach people who are running university societies already, because I think obviously their experience is completely invaluable. So because obviously I went I came out of college and went straight into the work of insurance. So I didn't go to uni. So
okay, well, I just want to take just a quick note to everybody listening. We've just got a couple of extra questions. I'd like you to get thinking about things that we haven't addressed that you would like Sean or Rob to answer. I'm happy to direct questions specifically to either candidate. So if you can start thinking now, and in about 5-10 minutes, well before 9 o'clock actually. So in about 5 minutes, start tweeting with the hashtag YLX your questions, and hopefully we'll get a few of them to them both. Rob, was there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, Harry Aldridge actually stood down, didn't he? So someone could focus more on universities, because that's where we really need to push for people. That's where the youngsters are. We can get them involved early. They kind of suffer a little bit because universities are so left-wing. You have all the Labour activists and whatnot. We need to push UKIP. We need to push a right-wing party, and I think members will come.
Okay, good. Let's move on to the next question.
The chairman should have the authority and leadership skills to delegate. Harry never had those.
Okay, no response there from Rob, that's fine. We'll move on anyway. This is an interesting question that was put on the website, and it's: should YI members be given preference ahead of over 30s for parliamentary or local election candidate opportunities? Sean?
No, I disagree on this. I think whoever's best for the job. It depends on what your skill sets are, which are relevant to this. How you can come across publicly. I mean, if there's a YI guy who is not particularly articulate, and there's a 31-year-old who is extremely articulate, well, of course, best man wins sort of thing. The 31-year-old gets it. I don't understand that question. I think it's pretty pointless, to be honest.
Rob?
I think the question came about because, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but was it not in your manifesto to start with? I thought I might be wrong, but I agree. It's
I used the word credible.
Okay, but there's no reason that YIs should be pushed. If you have a 58-year-old who's a lot better, credible to become a candidate, you should not push a 58-year-old over. You shouldn't push a 28-year-old.
I never said that. I said on the prospective parliamentary candidates list, which is a bit different from pushing people over the heads of branches, which you're suggesting there. What I mean, and what is clearly stated, is that we need to encourage people to go for parliamentary candidate assessment. I want to hold, as I've held YI training days, for public speaking and things like this before. So I want to see kind of more of those, and at the end game to be YI PPCs who are completely credible.
It's very important to only push them if they are good enough, though. We should not just be pushing them because they're YI. No one should have
credible. Well, you're completely deferring from the subject. You're just using this now as an attack. You're completely ignoring the fact I have used the word credible.
I understand that you're using the word credible, but I'm just saying that we should not push it.
Rob, I've answered your question. You're going on and on and on now.
Okay.
I have said credible people, and credible people will be pushed.
But no particular advantage for somebody who's from YI over somebody from the
No, we'll hold like training days and things like that. Then encourage people, because we'll hold training days, it's not going to be YI people doing assessments. It'll be proper assessments. But what we'll do, we'll encourage people. Look, you're pretty good at this. You should definitely go for it. Because a lot of people in YI, sit on the fence and they think, should I go for it? I'd love to stand for Parliament, but I'm sitting on the fence. I may be ripped apart because they think I'm a bit too young. Well, look, mate, go and give it a shot. You're good at X, Y, and Z. Just go for it.
Okay, well,
I
it's interesting.
Think people should be pushed, and they should be helped with training and things like that.
We've just had a question come in. Okay, sure. I think you've had enough to say on that. We've had a question just come in now. Have you both? Have either of you passed the assessment centre? UKIP has to kind of assess people for elections.
No, but I'm due to do it fairly soon. I've just got to confirm a time with Lisa.
Right. Is there any particular reason why that hasn't happened yet, or have you not?
Eastleigh, but I was meant to do it at the beginning of the year. I was planning on doing it then, but it just kind of got blew out with. I spent a lot of time in Eastleigh, and obviously Lisa was manning the election down there. So,
Rob, have you managed to?
No, I haven't taken it yet, but I've started the application process. I've sent it all off, so I'm just waiting now for it to happen.
Okay, fair enough. So that's both. So you will both plan on standing, obviously, for the party in 2015.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
Okay, yeah. Good. Right, I think we'll come to the last question now, because I do want to try and get a couple of these questions from Twitter in. And it's basically just to sum up the last couple of weeks, really. Obviously, the election's been tarnished by some attack campaigns, smears, and regrettably, even email hacking. And I know there's a criminal investigation underway, so we won't talk too much about the email hacking. But what have you got to say about the manner in which this election has been conducted, Rob?
Well, some of you downright disgusting, haven't they, really? It should never have happened, and wherever they came from, I hope they get found out in the end, and hopefully the party can deal with them, because some of them, they were just nasty, they were not called for, and whoever done them are just sad people. That's my personal view of it. The election has been like a child's playground, and hopefully in the last couple of days people will push policy, and it will be more about the politics, the people, and instead of all this blog leakage or whatever it's been.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, well, I stand, at one with Rob over this. I just think what's happened to him especially was absolutely disgusting. Yes, I've had my emails hacked, but at the end of the day, that's a matter for the police to deal with now. But when you go down personal, really private issues like what's happened with Rob, it's truly gutter politics, and it's the lowest of the low, and whoever has done that are absolute scumbags.
I mean, as somebody who's fairly outside of the election process, I haven't been campaigning, I just find it astonishing that something like email hacking could have gone on, to be honest. And in terms of the slurs, I think you both have reacted quite well to it, to be honest. I haven't seen either of you flipping out on Twitter or Facebook regarding some of the things that have been going on.
We've both spoken over the phone,
Yeah.
and we've reaffirmed that we both conclude and believe that none of us are behind the real disgusting things that are going on.
Good. Okay. And Rob, what will you do to ensure that future Young Independence elections are carried out in a cleaner, more positive way?
Well, I don't think there's anything a chairman could do to ensure these nasty attacks don't happen. Obviously, this time it was down to one or two blogs where they were getting sent stuff or they were making stuff up. We have no idea what was going on. But there was nothing any one person could have done. It's up to the whole of YI. We have to unite as a membership group, regardless, as I said earlier, of age, sex, what you agree with what ideology you follow. It's to do with the membership. We need to be together. We are UKIP at the end of the day. We're all YI, and we should all be out for each other.
Sean?
Yeah, I can completely agree. We need we need to unite on this. And, as Rob said, there is nothing really that one person can do, because with these blogs, it is my belief that they are external to UKIP. I don't believe anyone within UKIP would go to this sort of gutter level that's happened. I think maybe it's due to recent people who have been kicked out of the party or resigned from the party. But current members, I can't see it. I'd be very surprised if it was.
See, the thing with my smear is what the thing that got released about me. Someone must have actually gone to Google, took the time to find that piece of information, which was the disturbing thing. They hadn't just found it on Facebook or somewhere. They must have Google searched that, because it's not easy to find. So
and it was from years back, wasn't it? So.
It was a few years ago. It was when I was 15, 16. It was a disgusting thing to do, and whoever does it, I hope we find out in the end.
Well, agreed.
I think everybody can agree on that, to be honest. That's great. Thanks for that, chaps. Now, I just want to throw it open now for the next... We'll finish about 9 o'clock, make it nice and round. So we've got 8 minutes, and I want to leave you both about a minute each to give your closing statements. Just to throw it open now to Twitter. So if you can get tweeting your final questions, and feel free to direct them to either candidate, but hashtag it with YLX, and we'll see them as they come in now. The question, quite an interesting question actually. If there's one UKIP policy you could change, which one would it be and why, Rob?
That's quite a tough one, really, because at the moment, obviously, they're still rewriting policies. We're not totally sure what some policies may be. But, for example, I know there's a lot of people in the party that would be pro-fox hunting, and I'm strictly against fox hunting, obviously from an animal welfare background. It would be offered a referendum if we got into power, so it would be up to the people to decide. But it's one of the things that I am passionate about. I just wouldn't like it happening, to be honest. So that's the only real one I can think of. Pretty much in line there then, Sean.
Yeah, well, I've got two ones that are my bugbears, really. I massively stood shoulder to shoulder with Paul Nuttall when he wanted to get the devolution policy through. I'm a massive supporter of a Confederate United Kingdom, and I think an English Parliament really will enfranchise the English people. So I'd love to see that put back on the table, up for debate, and hopefully whacked in the manifesto for 2015. The second one is defence. I'm massively pro-military, but I think I just get the feeling that 40% increased expenditure is a bit too generic. I'd like to see certain strategic target sets. Say, we're not, as UKIP are, quite non-interventionist in their foreign policy. I'd like to say, right, does the military have the capability to retake the Falklands, if invaded, hypothetically? If the answer is yes, well, okay, work around that sort of thing. Can we fund it? So you will work around that. Do we have enough of a garrison in Gibraltar? Do we have enough of a garrison in Cyprus or wherever? So just to fund it, on a sensible strategic level. That's what I'd like to see us go down.
So making sure as well that UKIP's it's got a sensible defence policy. So
yeah. So I just think 40% is too generic. And,
sure. That's good. Okay, let's try and see if we can get anything else in. They are coming in now, but let's just see if we've got another couple. Actually, you've been called up, Sean. Actually, it's something you might want to address. Apparently, you failed an assessment. Is that correct?
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Right. Might that have been worth mentioning earlier? Well, we did. We talked about assessments earlier. I asked.
You asked me if I was planning on going for it, which I am.
I asked if you'd passed one, actually.
You asked me if I passed one, yeah, and I said no. Okay.
Right. Well, that has been cleared up. Was there a particular reason for that, or?
There was it was my knowledge of certain policy. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it was more on in-depth policy than anything. I know I passed the media part and the public speaking, but it was on policy.
Okay, so nothing major.
No.
Okay, excellent. So let's just see if there's any more burning questions anybody has got. Now is the time to put it to us. Otherwise, we'll go to the closing statements. Right, loads now. Have a look here. Final question, and this will have to be the... Okay. No, that's a silly question. To be honest, I think we'll end there. That's a very interesting... I don't know whether you chaps are paying attention to the hashtags here.
No.
But, no, I think we'll close now. I mean, thank you both very much for those answers. I think it's been a really good debate. And I'd just like to hand over now to Rob to give you a closing statement. You got about 60 seconds, but I'm not going to be too strict.
Okay, thank you. If you want someone who's had the experience as YI chairman over the last couple of months, then please vote for me. I truthfully care about the membership group. I believe I have plans that will not only expand us, but also modernise us through, as I said, a YI app, a YI blog. We'll also look at the opportunity to have our own YI conference once we know exactly how big our membership group is. We need to get this database. We need to make sure we have a website. We need to make sure the basics are in place. Once the basics are in place, we can have some fun. We can modernise. We can expand. So please, if this is what you want, vote for me.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you want someone who's got, proven leadership ability and who will be a leader, vote for me. I'm going to, reform YI to such a way it's, never been before. We're going to get the YI conference going on a yearly basis. We're going to hold more events around the country. We're going to be a real force to be reckoned with. But, by this time next year, we're going to be, financially self-sufficient. We're going to set up a patrons club so, we can have patrons come in and fund YI and maybe have a drinks reception every quarter or something, or every half a year, whatever's feasible and financially viable. We're really going to do this. So, vote for me if you want some real change,
Brilliant. Okay, thank you both very much. So I guess it just leaves me to say you should all go and get voting now if you haven't already. You can do it online, or you can do it this weekend at the conference in Exeter. The website you should visit to vote is www.youngindependence.com/elections. And online voting closes at 11 a.m. on Saturday, so I'm told. So make sure you get your votes in before then. And thank you to all of you who stuck with us tonight. It's pretty much the first time we've done anything like this on Ukipian.com. But hopefully we're going to host some debates in the future with other members of the party and perhaps people from outside as well. So keep watching this space. And thanks again for joining us tonight. So that leaves me to say good night, and from Rob and Sean as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much,
Good night,
Phil.
Phil.
Thank you to everyone at the Ukipian.
Cheers.